Good evening, everybody. I'll bring this regular meeting to order for June the 18th, 2025. Be it resolved that the agenda for the June 18, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. All in favor? It's carried. Councillor Powell is absent tonight. Be it resolved that the minutes of the June 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting be approved. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Any discussion? Councillor Bobick.
I'd like to add something to the agenda.
We've already done the agenda for the...
Oh, okay.
You missed that.
Sorry. Okay.
We wouldn't have everybody here to make it unanimous.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. On the minutes, anything on the minutes? All in favor? It's carried. 4, receptions and delegations. 4.1, we have CFO Ganita and our auditor, Ms. Tibbet here for the 2024 Canada Community Building Fund Annual Expenditure Report. She's all yours. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you should all have a copy,
They do?
and page 3 is what I'll be presenting. So there was unspent fund balance beginning of year, 1,317,000. Received from province of Manitoba, 225,000, and earned 66,000 of interest, and spent 169,000 on local roads, and that was 14,500 for sidewalks and 155,000 for 13th Ave and 13th Street, 13th Ave and 3rd Street South curb and gutter and paving. So that leaves an unspent balance at the end of the 2024 of 1,439,000. And then there's a cumulative column there as well showing the activity since the program started. It started off as federal gas tax funding, and then they changed the name to Canada Community Building Fund. So since the program started, the town's received 4,249,000 from the province. The money is put into reserve and interest calculated on the balance, 230,000 since the program started. And expenditures, local roads, 1,271,000, drinking water, 503,000, wastewater, 982,000, solid waste, 230,000, cultural infrastructure, 22,000, and disaster mitigation, 32,000, for total expenditures of 3,040,000.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Question? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
CFO Ganita, I know it's not part of the report, but I know there's a timeline like from when we receive an annual amount to when it needs to be expended. Would you be able to provide us a report of how, if we're getting up close to that or past that, or we have need to be expended that are up against the timeline, or are we within those? All the timelines from when we received it to when it needs to be expended?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any official timeline. I know when the program first came out, they said they'd like to see the money spent within 10 years, but
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can't remember. I know there was a closet, but maybe that's been removed, so.
Anybody else? Okay.
Okay, so in part of the report, I'm going to read the independent auditor's report, which is on page 1. So this report is addressed to the mayor and members of council of the town of Swan River. We have audited the town of Swan River's compliance as at December 31st, 2024, with the criteria established by the terms and conditions of the Canada Community Building Fund Manitoba Municipal Agreement between the province of Manitoba and the town of Swan River. Management is responsible for the compliance with the criteria established by the provisions of the agreement. and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to ensure compliance. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on this compliance based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with Canadian Generally Accepted Auditing Standards. Those standards require that we plan and perform an audit to obtain reasonable assurance whether the town of Swan River complied with the criteria established by the provisions of the agreement referred to above. Such an audit includes examining on a test basis, evidence supporting compliance, evaluating the overall compliance with these criteria, and where applicable, assessing the accounting principles used and significant estimates made by management. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinion. In our opinion, the Canada Community Building Fund Annual Expenditure Report presents fairly, in all material respects, the funding and expenditures for the year ended December 31st, 2024, in compliance with the Canada Community Building Fund Manitoba Municipal Agreement.
Okay, any questions for the auditor? All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Thank you, you as well. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you. You can stay if you like.
Pardon?
You can stay if you'd like.
I think I'll go home. But thank you for the offer.
Free water.
All right, 4.2, RCMP Staff Sergeant Steve Henson. And he has some backup with him tonight.
Yes. He's also acting corporal for the municipal corporal position. So that's why I brought him.
Okay. Congratulations and welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Your name?
Councillor Marshall.
Marshall?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
First thing I'd like to go through is the RCMP Municipal Quarterly Report that has been formatted by you people or tweaked. And essentially, I'm going to start with management of police services. Basically, our objective, priorities, and goals for 2025 have been community police presence, prolific priority offenders, traffic enforcement, safety and education, and foot patrols. And then the planned initiative to meet these objectives and priorities is the community police presence, frequent school visits and interventions. Currently, we work with all the schools and daycares for positive interactions. Is anything from reading with or to the students, safety presentations, and then dealing with personnel to keep the schools safe. Initiative 2 is interagency contacts, meetings, and communication. We have ongoing open communication with different interagency committees to ensure the safety of the community. Prolific offenders, priority offenders involved in the most serious offenses or who may present the most danger to public safety. Essentially, these are people we know and we've dealt with, both us and yourselves to some degree. And we have monitoring offenders' adherence to conditions and charging when in breach, especially with curfew checks. We have at least one person with a 24-hour curfew, which is interesting. Initiative 2 is your prolific offenders, and the offenders involved in the highest number of offenses who may overtax policing resources. These are more the nuisance calls and the sheer number of calls that come in, and then it just expends a lot of police time, energy, and resources, as opposed to priority offenders, which is more to do with violence and persons crimes. The current status and results, we're monitoring offenders' adherence to conditions and charge when we find them in breach. Another objective, traffic enforcement, safety and education, have an ongoing communication with Traffic Services Unit, and we've had recent communication with Traffic Services once again. Current status and results, Traffic Service has been in our area more frequently, focused on areas where issues seem to be highest. There's been multiple stops that have been completed to result in various tickets for unsafe driving behaviors and unsafe vehicles. Initiative 2 is increased patrols from the detachment, completing patrols more frequently in school areas, as well as Main Street, where there seems to be a higher number of issues. And both these areas, we've had some problems with loud vehicles, and we've been tackling that. Foot patrols. Detachment commander, myself, periodically completes these foot patrols. I haven't involved the constables so far. We're a little bit short, both in constables and NCOs. But it gives me a break to get out and I get to meet one-on-one managers, employees, owners of the businesses. And I've been out 3 times, and I do both sides of a street. Currently what's happening is a good learning experience for pedestrians, because we got complaints about pedestrians as well on Main Street and between the school and Tim Hortons. And I've advised the school division and they've advised the high school. So they got the message out and we're watching for that. We don't want an unsafe situation where somebody gets hurt. Receiving positive feedback from downtown businesses, communities along Main Street in regard to the foot patrols. You have to open one-on-one communication and the latest perspectives on crime and safety within the sector. So far, it's been better than a year ago, the feedback I'm getting from business owners. So that's a good sign. Not saying that things have gone away, they haven't, but there's a more positive outlook.
Any questions on that so far?
Well, I have a couple, but
Do you want to take any right now? Or do
Well,
you
we
wanna-
can, yeah, absolutely.
and I appreciate that what you're doing, I appreciate your sharing. But I have trouble, I'm a number guy, sort of. You said the highways guys were coming in more often, or PAW or wherever, and you've done multiple stops with some success. What does multiple stops mean?
Means anything from seat belts to cell phones to loud vehicles, basically speeding, and then anything else that may come across. So it's a mixed bag.
That makes sense to me, and thank you for that. But I'm looking for a number. Before you had 10 a month, now you have 50 because you got the boys coming in, the girls coming in more often.
Yeah.
Or the numbers of stops.
I can give you the number of infractions once I get to that section.
Okay.
But I haven't separated traffic services from our
Would it be
stats.
significantly more than in the past? Whatever that means.
There's peaks and valleys as far as, we get a hold of them when there's issues. They already have their work plan, and
Yeah.
if they're getting certain areas, they also do their patrols. They're looking for certain things as their provincial mandate and RCMP mandate. And then we communicate to the unit when we have certain issues or concerns that things have come up. We may have files, we may have been told, may come from mayor and council. And so we would email.
Can a constable, a corporal, a sergeant refuse foot patrols? When you give that direction, it has to be done?
I haven't given direction right now because essentially I'm taking the opportunity to come out.
Okay.
What I've been asking them to do is to focus on vehicles.
Yeah.
And then essentially during one of my foot patrols, essentially there was a loud vehicle that went by. And I was done, pretty much just heading back to my vehicle. I radioed, one of our constables responded, he went on patrol, I got in, we patrolled, we located them, and then ended up going to MPI for their vehicle to be checked over.
Perfect.
And another one, it's a little bit different, but it's basically an off-duty member, saw a person we've been looking for a while that's doing stunting, somebody who had lost their license and got it back recently, and then they're back at it again, and then because that member, well, how often do we see them when we're in uniform, except when I'm doing foot patrols? When we're in a vehicle, you might hear it, but you may not catch them as frequently as if you're on foot. And I've seen a lot of these infractions when I've out shopping or in town doing business on my own time sort of thing. And most of the time, I can't get a plate, and I'm a police officer. So I understand that when citizens can't get a plate, because you often can't. When I do get a plate is when I'm in a police vehicle and I see somebody got my lights and sirens on and they pull over. But essentially that we see what's happening. One of the things too that I've seen racing about a week and a half ago. I'm not aware as much about that happening right now, but the loud mufflers, what are they doing when people are complaining? Or we hear it, like, or is there a couple of vehicles or is it just the one? And essentially that's kind of our focus here. We're trying to be innovative.
I'll never tell you how to do your work. I have no skill, no expertise, no will, enough to trust. I do trust that you're doing that well, but I just keep smelling those foot patrols work. You see things you don't see, people act different, because when you're on foot, you see things, they don't see the police car. So I would encourage you to consider more of that if possible. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Carry on. Thanks.
Current activity statistics, okay. With the town, the number this quarter in 2025 is 698, and this quarter in 2024 is 915. And then basically year to date is this quarter was 698, and last 2024 is 915. And then moving down a little further, and 4.1 here for trends and points of interest, and that partly answers your question as well, Duane. It's less reports made, less members, and complete time-consuming projects. Essentially, when we're down on resources, it's a little harder to get more things done. But we're being innovative. The guys are on site, and I talked to them and asked them for ideas and that. And one of the ideas that came up, and that we're gonna, depending on call volume of that, we'll have somebody possibly in plain clothes and a radio and a cell phone, and somebody else with a police vehicle and in uniform with full kit and that. And we have to keep that spotter out of it. They just phone it in, give a description. If they got a plate, great. And that's what we're headed towards. But we do have competing interests, but that's one of my priorities that I've communicated to the constables, and actually talked to two fairly junior members, not that junior, but less than 5 years service. And they're open to the idea, and we just got to find a spot where we can get them both in. And then the other thing is to, just like it worked out well for me for the foot patrol and with one of our young constables, I plan on doing the same thing when I can fit it in. It's, yeah.
Those mufflers are certainly a concern of council coming from our bosses.
Yeah.
Guys who pay our bills.
Yes.
We're hearing it all the time.
Okay, meetings held within the municipality. We attend regular meetings with the schools. Sits on patrol program, more with Manitoba, Bozeman, Swan River, Swan Valley. It's been a while since I've been to a meeting. There's been a meeting, I should say, and that I don't know when the next one is because their management's in flux right now. And basically they just have to sort that out, and we should have a meeting again before too long. We have the community mobilization. We have the Crown meetings. We have Swan Valley Communities That Care, which is a partnership in some ways with the school division. It has to do with the surveys and looking at risk factors and protective factors. And basically, those are done every 2 years. COVID threw us off, but we're getting back to that. And it's professionally, it's a survey that we have. It's professionally analyzed. We take a look at the programs that are being delivered through the CTC and the school partnership. And then we look at, okay, do we end one of these programs or do we bring in another one? And we have the Swan River Sharps Committee, Swan Valley Interagency, and Community Safety and Wellbeing Committees. And that one, it was the town that reached out to me and I started participating in that. And GIS, basically where we're at with GIS, it's not advertised yet, the corporal position. It's a national advertisement for a new position. So they only advertise so many at a time. And we're probably number 2 or number 3 in the list. So I'm not sure how many weeks of a delay that is. But essentially that Superintendent Lee Fortin, basically after the meeting that we had with Mayor and CEO and company, that he got right on that. And he's ordered a vehicle for the GIS. And he's sending the paperwork to Ottawa to have this advertised for the corporal. You want to get a corporal as soon as we can, but it's not as fast as we like because you can only go as fast as Ottawa. And then you got to find the right or the best fit for the area. And the 2 constable positions won't be advertised till we beef up the detachment side more than we have right now. And they're actively working on it. We have a cadet and we have another one is here and he's just past his 2-month mark. And we have another one that should graduate in the middle of August. So he'll be here, he's from Toronto, but he'll be here late August or early September, depending upon how they can work things out. I've been in communication with him. I just found out his name this week. And then I've had telephone conversation with him as well as email communication. Young guy, 23, energetic, wants to be here.
Is that for the GIS position?
Not for GIS, it's to top up the detachment side.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah. And then we have the employee member wellness sessions. Now with the resource overview, this is based on last quarter because this quarter is to the end of June. So basically we were at 7 is establishment, 6 constables, 1 corporal, but we currently have 5 because we're short a constable and a corporal. And on the other side here, I made note that right now for the detachment, we have 3 hard vacancies, means there's no body. And that's 2 constables and 1 NCO. So 1 municipal constable, 1 rural constable. And we have like a municipal corporal that we don't have right now. And then we have 4 soft vacancies. That means work-related injury for the 2 constables, and then we have a soft vacancy for 2 NCOs. That's it for this report. And then basically, I don't know if you want me to go through the stats for May, they're here. That it was sent in.
Do you have them there, Councillor Whyte?
You alluded to the curfews, that must be a terrible job checking on somebody to see if they're home, that would drive me crazy. Regardless, who makes that curfew and decides those hours?
The courts.
Police force?
The courts.
The court does?
Yeah.
And the consequence of breaking curfew?
You get breached and there's a court appearance. Sometimes you can get arrested and released and processed depending what led to those curfews. Other times we ask for to be held in custody or remand.
Okay, thank you.
Does council want Staff Sergeant to go through the statistics? You've had them there to have a look at?
If there's any specific questions, that's another
Or
approach.
questions on it, yeah, because it's pretty much right there. Go ahead.
Okay, I got some questions after, but on the statistics, under the traffic offenses, like for Swan River, where, under which column would we find like the loud mufflers and
It's not, keep going, sorry.
and the racing, drag racing?
Okay, the loud mufflers won't be in there as such. It's more of a category, a catch coding. So I just have to go by memory or what I write down. And essentially I'm taking note, and I don't have it all, but the ones that really stood out I mentioned. Now with the racing, there's gonna be like imprudent driving, restunting, dangerous driving, every things like that. And with this, it may be clumped together, but there's ways of finding it.
So the question was about the loud mufflers and the imprudent driving or the drag racing, if you want to call it.
Sure,
That is lumped in someplace.
yes.
Can you get council that information? It doesn't have to be.
I think I
tonight.
can. I'll just get some help from one of our clerical staff and that. So I believe you can.
Any other questions on the statistics? Councillor Bobick.
Just on the question of the noise violations and stuff like that, so is that, when you say traffic services, that comes from another detachment here?
Well, they're not a detachment like we are. They're strictly traffic.
Okay, so this, I guess what I'm asking is what time of day do they do this?
It could be day or night.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's-
And just for your information, they have it in their work plan to be out here during the rodeo. And they have a presence for sure.
That'll make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to get more numbers out here not because there's a whole bunch of bad things happening, just there's more people. So it tends to get a little busier.
Okay,
Thank you.
good to hear. All right, I guess we're good with the statistics, other than that information that you'll provide. And then you have your monthly tracking report, or you want to go over that?
Similar.
I don't think I have it with me.
Okay. I know, yeah, you're right, it is very similar.
Yeah.
Just got some more questions on those.
Okay, so then Deputy Mayor Moriaux has some other questions.
Yeah, back to the original quarterly report in section 4, the current activities. The total calls for service, you got it broken down between urban, rural, and Sapatoyak. Is the rural and Sapatoyak in the same category, or is it?
Maybe we should have pulled that one out, because basically we keep SAP and West Mississippi separate, and then from the rural, when we run the stats, and then the rural would catch the others, not them. And like, it would be like Manitoba, Bozeman Mountains, Swan Valley West. And essentially, we'd have the town separate.
Okay, so with that, we're still running one single schedule, like as a detachment, correct?
It's
So-
a
so-
consolidated schedule.
Right, so it would be good to see those numbers if the members and the schedules is doing that workload. As for myself, I would like to see that workload included in the stats,
Okay, how do you mean that?
like here in this thing, you got, it states rural and Sapatoyak. And that's why I'm asking, in the rural numbers, like this quarter, 488, is that all the rural and the First
Yes.
Nations together?
No, rural separate, all the rural together.
Okay.
And then all the municipal or urban together.
And then the
SAP
First Nations are
separate.
pulled out? 'Cause there's
Yeah,
SAP is-
they're always pulled out, shouldn't have been in there.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, it'd be interesting to know what that workload is, with like just the stat numbers, because if we're running one schedule with the members, then that would help us understand.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
So, because it's like if the workload is there, and it's not identified in the man-hour schedule.
Yeah, I will double, like, when I made my comment about SAP, it's to do with the way the others are run, and I assume that's the same thing. I will double check with my DSA, she'll clarify that for me, and then basically we can do that.
Yeah, like, cause I don't need to, like, I'm not interested in the detailed stuff like the other stuff, it's just like the total number in that section 4 of the report.
You wanna know how much resources goes here, there,
Yeah,
or
like
right here in
those-
town?
Cause you're
Okay.
leaving out a big chunk of workload in the stats if they're, when we're comparing it to the other categories with the staffing levels and the manpower
Yeah,
that goes with it.
absolutely.
So,
I'll talk to the DSA, she'll drill down, we'll talk, and we'll figure things out.
okay, and then I guess I need to wrap around back to the loud mufflers. It's a sore point. I hear it every day myself. I get complaints from everywhere, every day from people that are, they're saying that this year, it's just gone crazy, especially in the last month. Particularly from the high school towards going north on Highway 10 to the Wayside Park. And then they sit in the Wayside Park and they just sit there and rev their engines, and then that echoes in that bush in the river, and then it just annoys that north end of
Those are
town.
2 target areas that we're working on, yes.
So, because last week, when I was out in that end, I just went and sat for 15 minutes at the Wayside Park and I caught 7 plates,
Yeah.
basically there, so, but it's, I don't have any authority to do it, I can just bring the numbers, plates and that information to the detachment.
But if you have time, you can call it in,
Yeah,
and then there'll be a file created right away and
But-
assigned.
But what I'm getting at is that maybe we should just, like you said, unless you're walking and they can hear your name, a cruiser just parked at the museum or at the Wayside Park and they will come to you. And you can just sit there and deal with them, because they're gonna come to you. And then same with the drag racing, every night, like, they circle around the McDonald's and the Subway to be lined up at the green light at the intersection there to wait for its green, and then they're just smoking out going east. Like, it's just park on the Starlight, like, I'm not gonna tell you how to do your job. As for me, I would just park at the Starlight trailer park back where they can't see you, and they're gonna come to you. But the people in, like, the ratepayers in this town right now they've had enough of the racing and the loud mufflers. Like, I got people telling me they're looking ready to move out of town because they can't stand it anymore. So we need to get on this. And it's one of our priorities is traffic enforcement. And if we need to, and if you don't have the manpower to do that, I myself, I can encourage council that we can write division or district and ask for traffic services to make a greater presence here to give you guys assistance on that. But we need to get a handle on this before someone gets killed or people are starting to take some of that in their own hands. Like, I know, like last year, needles was an issue and that's sort of weighing down, but right now the hot button issue is the loud mufflers and the drag racing in town, especially on the north and east portions.
That's a point well made, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So,
Okay, anything else? Any customer, or any other questions? Go to Councillor Bobick.
Just out of curiosity, I guess, has there ever been, by the school division, brought forward about sniffer dogs in the school or anything? Or at one time that was mentioned years ago, but is that ever coming back out?
It hasn't come back, and there was an issue, it was a charter issue. I can look into it again, I don't have a problem with that, of course, because over a period of time, sometimes things change with the case law, but it was an issue at the time.
Okay, thank you.
I do recall that. Anything else? Councillor Whyte? No? Is there anything further from you guys?
No, that's it, I just wanted to bring Rusty with me, because he is your corporal, and he's one of our senior guys. He's also came in from Crest, he was here, went to Crest, came back,
Right.
got a ton of knowledge, really good at dealing with intel, source work, and basically just about anything that might fall on his plate. He also, of course, is doing a lot of he works a constable shift, he's got the corporal workload on top of it all, and basically he's pretty much a very proficient workhorse, lack of a better word, but that's what it is.
We do appreciate you coming back to Swan River and putting down your roots here, so welcome
thanks.
back to Swan Valley.
And if we can help you guys, obviously, our job is to work collaboratively with both teams. We can, whatever we can do, I'm sure it's fair to speak for council on this one, we're here to help.
Okay, when I get back to the office, I'll just do some of my notes about what you've asked and that, and then basically I'll probably check with Will just a few days down the road and see if there's anything I missed.
Okay.
Since I wasn't taking notes at the time, I was just presenting. But, you know, I get where you're coming from, this is what I want to hear, where's the issues, suggestions, just like when I talk to my constables, okay, what can we do different?
Thank you.
Very
Okay,
good.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, gentlemen. All right, we can move on then to 6, communication, 6.1. Be it resolved, letter dated June the 10th, 2025, from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Swan Valley Crisis Center, regarding the Green Municipal Fund be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Any discussion? So that's just on that study, on that building that Ms. Duchesne is looking at building.
It was nice of everybody.
Yeah. All in favor? It's carried. 6.2, be it resolved of the building permits 2025 and 2125 with a total estimated value of $6,000 be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, second by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.1, be it resolved the Director of Public Works report be received. Moved by Councillor Bobick, second by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion, questions to the Director? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
In regards to the, I guess, the workplace health and safety inspection and safe work procedures, is it anything new, like new safe work procedures, or is it the same old story where we have a different inspector that doesn't like the previous inspector's work and starts creating work that was totally okay by the previous individuals?
No, there was a couple new things. So one was a mistake by one of our employees, so we modified a safe work procedure. They had clipped in a seat belt with no one in there, indicating that they hopped in and drove so it wouldn't ding kind of thing. So we came up with a safe work procedure that you can't do that. You have to wear the seat belt properly kind of thing. So that was one of the things that was noted. There was some racks that we had structural load ratings for. The load ratings, the sticker wasn't on there, so we just got those, put those on. So it wasn't anything too major, but it wasn't anything, it was the same guy that's normally there. And then there was the occupational hygienist. So there was a couple different things with that.
Sounds good, thank you.
Any other, Councillor Bobick?
I see you sprayed dust control. Did you spray what rate, I guess is what, did you try that new rate or did you just stick with the same rate?
We used the one you suggested, I think it's the 1.4.
I just wondered, I'll talk to you earlier about that, what this significant difference is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Whyte?
Have we hired somebody to work part-time at the cemetery yet?
That's been advertised and it'll be closed at the end of this week.
Okay. The banners, which I'm 100% in favor of the grants, who pays for those?
For putting them together, sign here does it, I'm not sure who pays for that.
Through the school.
School division pays for them and we put them
For
up for the town?
installing them, we pay the cost for installing them,
Yep.
but we don't pay the cost for putting them together.
Thank you.
So on the director's report, all in favor? It's carried. 7.2, be it resolved, the Director of Recreation report be received. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion or questions? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Just for clarification, Director Clouson, on your report on the staffing, rec worker 1 term vacancy, is it still to be filled or filled? Is that a typo there or
It's a typo, thank you, it's filled.
filled? So all your summer positions are filled?
Filled, period, yeah,
Okay.
everything's filled.
And do we have like shift work going on there? I know just this evening there, when I was out on the north end of town coming in, I seen one of the rec machines cutting grass and stuff like that, and it's.
Yeah, I made some
after-
operational changes, so I've got one worker that works 11 to 7 every day and on the weekends. And they got different days off for their weekend, so every week there's an evening shift and a staff member on the weekend.
Okay, that'll be why people are going, asking if we're paying overtime for someone to
No,
cut
we're
grass
not.
on a weekend or
Regular
to
time.
shift. Okay, perfect, thanks.
Excellent question. Any other discussion? Councillor Whyte.
Just a compliment, I'm sure your staff has had a lot more work with trying to help out our guests, our evacuees. Is there anything else that we might be able to do that we could talk about?
I don't know, it's going really well. We've got about 5 families that are becoming part of our family every day and bringing their kids, and their kids are excited to see us, and we know them all by name, and I don't know, really great group here. I don't know, I think we're okay. We're just still doing good.
Well, we're always willing to listen.
Mhm.
If some concepts come up where council can help,
Mhm.
our temporary guests, I'm certain we would like to hear about it, if something can be done.
Yeah, okay, I'll keep my ears open.
Any other questions to the report? Councillor Bobick.
Yeah, just speaking on that a bit, so I know that Swan River, town of Swan River doing lots for the evacuees, but is there somehow so we can bang our drum more and get that out there, this is what we're doing?
You're asking me
Yeah.
specifically that? We're doing lots, like we're promoting lots of our mini kids camp. This is free to them every afternoon, a drop-in. They're utilizing the pool for free.
Okay,
Still, we're still advertising our rec locker. Maybe not as many posts this week, because the information is out there. I don't know, I don't know.
Go ahead.
Can I just offer some clarity? I'm not sure, Councillor Bobick, we have 2 Facebook feeds. One's the rec department, one's Town of Swan River, and I don't know if you follow the rec one, but there's copious amounts of advertising on there. She's doing a
Okay.
great job of that.
perfect, I'll start following it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Councillor Bobick, Councillor Whyte.
You said the evacuees, we're letting them swim for free,
Yes,
all the time?
all the time. All our programming is free for evacuees.
So they just bring some ID that, now you know.
Yeah, and they're regulars now. It's the regular people we know. They've become
So
part
any
of our
evacuee shows up,
regulars.
when it's a public swim, they're in for free.
That's right.
Perfect.
And that too has been on Facebook for
Hmm?
the first time. That too is regularly advertised on Facebook
Yeah.
since this started as
I
well.
just wanted to advertise it to our listeners.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.3, be it resolved that the Chief Administrative Officer's report be received. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussions, questions to the CAO. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Mr. Tewnion, I just see one quick question here on our upcoming by-election for a vacancy. And I see that the RFP for senior election official has been extended. Has there been at least any inquiries on it, or is it just no one's biting at all, like on every other position that municipalities are putting out for casual or term?
We are doing active recruiting and reaching out to one individual in particular. We're waiting to hear back, but to answer your question, no, nobody's applied yet.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 7.4, be it resolved that the May 2025 Swan River Handy Transit Van report be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Seven five one, be it resolved that the report dated June the 12th, 2025 from Will Tewnion's Chief Administrative Officer, Town of Swan River, regarding harm reduction be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion on the report. Councillor Whyte.
Well, I'm not sure what the statement is, and the answer that the CEO got was, the CAO was, quantity distributed will be similar to last year and the year before. Well, the year before was 519,954. So last year we gave out another 500,000 needles. If I interpret that correctly, please tell me I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because somehow I thought there was an attempt by the community to reduce that, and that concerns me if we're still giving another 500,000.
Is that what they told you? Was
That's why I quoted exactly what I was given. Correct.
not a fair answer, but not your answer, but you know what I'm saying.
What I want.
Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Yeah, basically what I interpreted, it's business as usual in that world. So, but it would be interesting to know from them, because I haven't personally been getting as much feedback and flack about discarded needles all over the place. I know they're still out there, we're still finding them, but I'm not getting an avalanche of pictures and comments every night coming to me. So it would be interesting to know if there is, like from a business point of view, like where we've been traditionally finding or record through our own operations, if there's a noticeable decrease in the discarded needles, and is there an uptake in the users using the provided bins or other means of properly disposing them? So I know it's not really in the report, but it's clearly lacking in the reports that we get from PMH on their even on their needle picking up reports. It doesn't include numbers or the total using of who's using all the bins, or if at all. So that would be an interesting tidbit or additional information to that. So
The needle committee is not meeting for most of the summer unless it needs to. Most of their scheduled meetings are been canceled for summer reasons, and so they'll be meeting again in the fall, unless of course the chair needs to call a meeting. But if council feels that there's more, they have questions and they want some different answers or different results of what they're looking for, if you can send that to me in an email, then I can more than gladly take that to the chair and ask if we can have those questions answered.
I'll have specific ones to send to you.
Yeah. Councillor Whyte.
Yeah, well, if I was a math teacher, which I was, and somebody said that the numbers are similar, that means nothing to me. You know, it has no precision to it, nothing precise, and that concerns me. The other issue, I talked with a senior administrator at the hospital the last few months, and they have a sharps disposal device at the hospital. The chief health wasn't being used. He said they're not going to walk up to the hospital and put their needles in front of the hospital. He said he has no clue why it's there. So the location of those things, I'm not sure if they're in the best places, I don't know, but the guy who lives in the hospital, works in a hospital, says this is not the place for it, that is not being used. Maybe that's wrong, but I have to trust him.
Councillor Bobick.
And that's where I questioned the last meeting was, I'd like to know the number of needles going out and the number of needles collected.
How many
What
are
the
found
difference
in one?
is what's laying around.
Numbers being found in each receptacle. If there's nothing being found in a receptacle, why have we got it there? Why is it there?
Again, you can forward those questions and I can ask them for you. On the resolution on harm reduction reporting from the CEO, any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 752. Be it resolved that the report dated June the 12th, 2025 from Erin, Clouson, Director of Recreation, Town of Swan River regarding pipe hanger HVAC or HVAC be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux?
Director Clouson, I guess the tenders is open and I guess first site visit would be tomorrow, correct?
That's correct.
Is there what type of interest is in there? Is actual people booking times to come to do a site visit or?
So Associated Engineering was hired as a project manager. They've kind of been handling all of that. So they put out expression of interest and invites to companies we recommended or they recommended. I'm not sure what kind of response they got. I don't know who plans to visit tomorrow.
So they haven't given you a heads up saying we're bringing in
haven't,
so many
no.
contractors?
I don't know if they would know that. I think they just send out the invitation for the site visit.
And
And
who
then
shows up?
they show. If nobody shows, then I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, and so I guess we'll wait until the tender closes on July 3rd to see our approved budget, if that's the pie in the sky number or
Yeah.
hopefully the 50%. Okay, thank you.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 754. Be it resolved that the report dated June the 17th, 2025 from Darren Harvey, Director of Public Works, regarding the waste disposal ground management tender be received.
Did we miss the
This one.
Centennial block?
Yeah, you missed 753.
How did I do that? My apologies. 753. Be it resolved that the report dated June the 17th, 2025 from Darren Harvey, Director of Public Works, regarding 200 block Centennial Drive North utility renewal be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
I guess similar lines on that, did these people that actually bid come in and do a site visit, or did they just look at the tender request from,
They just looked at the tender request.
so there was no site visits and anything like that, so. And I guess be a similar line, any of their questions that they had regarding or the tender would have went directly to A&E for it, so, and there was no feedback questions or follow-ups required of you to, or A&E
There's
had
just
all
a
the questions.
clarification on that we use Municipex for service lines.
Okay, that's answered.
Further discussion? Councillor Bobick.
Do you have any idea what the cost of going to tender was?
It was 19,000.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Let's try this one again. 754. Be it resolved that the report dated June the 17th, 2025 from Darren Harvey, Director of Public Works, regarding the waste disposal ground management tender be received. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Again, same, it sounds like, or from what I read, we only had the one individual interested. and basically it's being quoted as, I guess, exactly the same as what's occurring there now for services and times.
Yeah, and then like a 3% increase.
Yeah, like the, stuff like that, but the services that he's providing is identical to, there's no change of scope of work at all or anything like that, okay?
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 755, be it resolved that the report dated June the 16th, 2025 from Will Tewnion, CAO, regarding the municipality of Swan Valley West landfill and recycle building be received. Moved by Deputy Mayor Moriaux, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
CEO Tewnion, in their document research and stuff, that, did we ever find a document where, that stated the town of Swan River was to be in charge of the operations of the landfill? I know it's clearly, we have documentation as to the joint ownership of the property and who has land title for what reasons, and the dynamics with the recycling building, but the actual operations of the dump, is there any documentations from history or wherever that says, between the two entities, that says the town of Swan River will be in charge of management and operations of the dump? Or is,
Well, the original purchase service agreement from December of 2021, we have that on file.
no, but I'm talking like way back when the dump first started operating, and who, like, there's gotta be, like, the town just didn't say we're gonna run the dump on a jointly ordered piece of property. There had to be an agreement or a document that would have stated who would have been doing that, or whose responsibility. Because if you would have had a piece of property that's jointly owned by the two municipalities as a landfill, there would have had to been a meeting and an agreement as to who would have been operating the landfill, not just the town stepping forward. But I could be surprised if it's way back there and it might have been just a spit and a handshake. But as to the way now where like I understand this, the shared services have evolved and all that stuff based on the town operating it. But one of the arguments that we're getting is, okay, well, and that we can, yeah, that we're getting is, okay, why is the town operating the landfill? Why aren't we operating it? Well, without that document that actually says, well, the town is in charge of operating the landfill, it's kind of hard to be in a negotiating position to counter some of the arguments that they're, when we're going, well, why aren't we involved in the tender process and stuff like that? Like, who gave you the authority to be the sole person looking after that? I know that's in the shared services stuff, but it was, I guess, insinuated when we made those agreements, but prior to when we had those, like.
Yeah, I wasn't able to find any original agreement saying who operates the landfill. So the last agreement that I have between the two parties is that shared service where it says that we run the landfill.
Right.
But I wasn't able to find an original document.
Right, and those shared service agreements expired, and this, like, the current one has been canceled, and there's no agreement right now even for that. So there's nothing stopping the other municipalities saying, well, we wanna do it, and we have nothing to say to counter that, besides us being 9/10 of the law of possession, I should say. But there's nothing to counter saying, no, there's an agreement that says we look after it and bill you your share, so.
Yeah, the only agreement that I could find where it had who's operating is that purchase service agreement.
Okay.
I'm sure there's gonna be more discussion on that at some time at a comm meeting. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 756, be it resolved of the law dated June the 17th, 2025, from Glenda Short, Prairie Mountain Health, regarding needle cleanup be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Councillor Whyte.
I see in one sweep very recently, they took 120 needles from the Ag Society, the horse stables, and a acquaintance of mine, a very white woman, was there on the cleanup, and there were people living in the horse stalls. They had put up sheets of plastic and cardboard. I saw the pictures, I forwarded them to you guys, I believe, where people were sleeping there. And I'm sure, it hurts me that that has to happen, but who looks after making sure that doesn't happen? Because they have been there, 120 needles in 1 sweep, they've been there for a while. I don't know who's in charge of making sure the ag grounds are checked. Is that the town's job or is that the exercise job? It's
Exercise,
their
it's
land.
not our property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe note to the ag society, say, hey, people living there, well, they know, they did the
I
cleanup.
think they're fully aware of it.
They're aware, they did that cleanup, so I fill that out, thank you.
Any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Would it be possible for either, I guess, through your Sharps committee and stuff, I guess one of the questions as part of this report is with those pre-established disposal bins, if they can highlight, are they being, like which ones are being used and which ones are consistently empty? Is if there's ones that are consistently empty, particularly like the one underneath the grandstand at the rodeo grounds, and if the grandstands are full of needles, but you got an expensive disposal bin right there, and if it's consistently empty, it tells you a story. So, or they're in the wrong spots. So,
Add that to your
list of questions.
list
Okay.
of questions, yeah. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. 757, be it resolved that the report dated June the 17th, 2025 from Tewnion, Chief Administrative Officer, regarding grass cutting on boulevards and associated invoices to Manitoba Transport and Infrastructure be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Director Harvey, with these rates here, are we using like the commercial rates that we, on our fee list that we're charging MTI, or is it, it's hard to believe that we only charge $180 to MTI for cutting, grass cutting on the boulevards last year when they were out for 2-3 times.
Go ahead.
Probably a question better for me or CFO Corinna. The rates are charged based on how the employees code their timesheets. It was recently learned that the timesheets perhaps weren't being coded as correctly as they can, so we put steps in place to make sure that happens. That would be an easy explanation for the inconsistencies over the years.
Gotcha.
Okay?
It would totally make sense.
Any further discussion?
Any
Councillor White.
reply from MTI relative to maybe paying that bill?
They've paid them all.
Yep.
They've paid them all, perfect,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Councillor Bobick.
So if they're willing to pay for grass cutting, would they be willing to pay for brush cutting?
Possibly.
Do it and send them the invoice.
Further discussion?
I think that's a very relevant point, sir.
You're out of order. Any further discussion? All in favor? Go ahead, Councillor White.
Councillor Bobick made a point that we've sent the bill for mowing the grass. Let's send the bill for doing the brush and see what happens. All they can say is no. We're not getting paid now.
Councillor Bobick.
I think maybe Director Harvey and I'll speak a bit on that, and we'll try to get you some prices that would occur by doing that before we rush out the brush cut.
I think that perhaps maybe have a chat with the CEO.
Yeah, that-
And have that conversation prior to that conversation. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Council reports. Councillor White.
We're pretty busy, as often is in this world. And I want to thank all the councillors for picking up extra workload with the absence of the other two councillors. And, it's made it more difficult for us, but it's appreciated that our other councillors can't be here. So Immigrant Services, I attended their AGM, and at that AGM they told us they have 53 different countries represented in Immigrant Services. As I say often, what a wonderful entity that group is, caring for people who don't have the gifts that we've had as Canadians. On the 9th of June, I did that. On the 9th of June also, we had two ladies out from PMH that were in charge of parkland doctor recruitment for Brandon and this area. And Deputy Mayor Moriaux and myself, Dr. Burnside, Reeve Gade, and Rachel Dahl met with them for an hour or so, looking at mechanisms to encourage more people to come here. I think we do them all and more right now, but it's nice to know they appreciate that, which we do. And at the time we have in October, Deputy Mayor, we have the rink again. So we're bringing 40, 50 young medical students to come out to look at our community. And it's interesting that one of the leaders of that group coming out was a person who came here last year as a student, and she got excited about it, and she's doing a lot of the organizing with Deputy Mayor Moriaux and myself and whoever else wants to help. So I appreciated that. June the 12th, we met with 3 Crown attorneys, the senior Crowns from Dauphin, a newer Crown who has this area, Swan River, under his jurisdiction, and a senior Crown from Winnipeg. And what we were attempting to do at the time was to lobby to get a Crown attorney here. I felt that if the person lived in our community, there'd be better understanding of the issues facing our constituents. We went through a long process. They had a lot of wonderful reasons why they couldn't do it, and some of them certainly had merit, but it hasn't, to me, it hasn't ended yet. But you need support staff, you need a building, you need technology, you need other Crowns for them to work with, like the similar thing we do with our doctors. So I had some empathy, but I'm not sure that I agreed with everything he said. But the Crowns were pretty convincing, but we'll continue to address that issue. Then on the 12th, I had another immigrant service meeting. It was more social than a meeting, and 60+ people went out to David Minish's for a mixed potpourri, a potluck dinner, and David and his wife Michelle did much of it. And it's just to see all the people from so many different countries. It's difficult for me. I don't speak many of those languages, and there has to be a mechanism to make that exchange work better. And then yesterday, we went to the Parkland AMM in Gilbert Plains, where our regional director, the mayor, was the MC, one of the co-MCs, and we talked about issues in the Parkland, and we have many successes. I like to dwell on those. And we came back realizing that we can work collaboratively and work with those people, and they listen to us. So all in all, that was a good day spent in Gilbert Plains. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bobick.
Thank you, Mayor Jacobson. Still getting over from Ottawa a bit, but we'll survive, so. I had a meeting with the Crown attorneys, some interesting facts there, lots of listening to be done. Also attended the AMM Parkland at Gilbert Plains. One of the things that I found very interesting is that some of our local contractors could be going through CANU, the procurement policy, and if they're involved in that, then that solves a lot of our problems when it comes to tendering. So we'll be speaking on that a little bit. Just to mention that in the next COW meeting, I wish to put on the agenda that I would like to speak a little bit about our turning lights that are proposed at the intersection, and also about a permit that we were given about a fence around a local church here. I'd like to see a conversation on that. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
It's been, I guess, a busy 2 weeks since I'm not up north working due to evacuation. So, but on the 9th with Councillor Whyte and others, you had mentioned that we met with representatives of Prairie Mountain Health regarding medical services recruitment for physicians in the valley and our surrounding area. One thing that we did find out throughout the meeting, and it was one of our issues, along with a CT scanner, to make the valley a more attractive place for physicians to come here and work, was the physician compensation differential that they were receiving between their co-workers from Dauphin and Neepawa and Brandon and other areas. That has been now resolved, and now the physicians in Swan Valley are getting equal pay and identical compensation to the model that is enforced in Dauphin Nipois and Brandon in regards to the dock of the day for the additional coverage in the facility, which basically for the last few years it was pro bono and not compensated as it was in the others, which was a significant deterrence when we're having conversations with residents looking for places to go, was that differential. But now that differential in pay is gone, that's another big feather in our cap for being able to eliminate the barriers for getting physicians to come work here in the valley. But as Councillor Whyte said, there's a couple recruitment initiatives going on for physicians along with other staff. June 10th, we had a committee of the whole meeting. On June 13th, I was part of the meeting with the Crown attorneys with the intent or the goal to try and achieve to have a Crown attorney permanently based or live in the community of Swan Valley. But having a meeting with 3 lifelong professional litigators, I was outmatched.
And rightfully so.
They put up a very strong arguments. Some of the points we bought, some of them we argued and lost every one of them. But they did grade up some good points. They did assure us, and one thing that I did feel comfortable with is that even though the Crown attorney that is assigned to Swan River for the Swan River files lives out of Dauphin, is here quite frequently, sometimes up to 3 days a week. He just commutes, but he's not just sneaking in, looking into court, and then to the attachment, going out of town. He's actually going to the high school, talking to the high school students, and meeting with victims to do victim impact statements and looking to increase that. So even though he may not be based here, at least he's making a lot bigger presence and effort to blend into the community than some of his previous, I guess, co-workers that you saw them come into town and then disappear as quickly as they came in. So that was good to see, but as Councillor Whyte says, we'll keep asking that credit, but as the point that they said, they had absolutely no control if another Crown Attorney office was to be set up or based in Swan River. That is a directive that comes from their superiors, which is the Minister of Justice and that department. So even though they could probably put their 2 cents in it, but the direction comes from that office and not the Crown Attorneys themselves. So, yesterday, myself and the rest of council, we were at the AMM June District meeting in Gilbert Plains, which was good to see. I would just like to say that there was a lot of good discussion, but I'd also like to congratulate His Worship Jacobson for his acclamation for being returned to the AMM Directorship Chair for another term. So congratulations on that, Your Worship. And then also, but congratulations on receiving your 15-year PIN for being a municipal councillor. As a lot of other careers go, if you make it 5 years, you're a lifer. So even though you're at 15 here, so I think you're doing pretty good at being a lifer on it. So, and then just off the side of the desk as time fits and going through, trying to get updates on our GIBC grant for the arena and that file. The parties are trying to poke whoever we can to get an update now that the new federal government is in place and operational, hopefully, that we should be able to get some word on that and some traction as to where we're going on that, but also doing some research on some other granting opportunities that we can combine those with. So, and then dealing with some other personnel issues as part of the personnel process with grievances and contract negotiations coming up. And that's all for me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, and thank you for your comment. For myself, I had a board meeting with the Swan Valley Health Facilities Foundation on Monday night. Couple of things that we had discussed. Obviously, I told you this, I believe, once before, that we are looking at doing some renovations to one of the house that we own. And so that's gonna be coming up here in the next little bit. One of the projects that we had picked for purchasing equipment was a pediatric scope. And that is a lot of money. And so I'm happy to say that when we kind of announced that that was gonna be one of our mandates to fundraise for, we received about $15,000 from the Ladies Auxiliary. And we also received a little over $15,000 from the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie program. So that their initiative we got sitting in the bank account for just a little over $30,000. So we're almost at our target that where we want to be. So which is a great thing. We did have several other discussions, but nothing really pertaining here that needs mentioning. Of course, we went through our March and April and May financials, and the foundation still sits fairly in good shape, but in always taking in donations from whoever want to help our facilities throughout the valley, which include Swan River and Bonito, and we are grateful for anyone that can support this worthwhile foundation. Yesterday, the AMM Parkland District meeting, yeah, I had a chance to co-chair that, so that was kind of fun. And we had a good turnout with members from all over the Parkland, different municipalities, and some people that you get to meet in that role as time goes on, and their names and faces become far more familiar as time goes on. And yeah, I was able to be acclaimed with Reeve Jim Mancher, my counterpart for the district, and what a great person to share that role with, and also the board. I know the board has had some new faces. Some of the Interlake, I think, has changed some of the board members, and I believe Midwest as well. So anyway, it's a great board to be a part of, and I can't say enough about the great people that are on there and the great things that they are doing and lobbying on behalf of all the municipalities in the province of Manitoba. And they'll keep on doing that. And you mentioned, you probably heard the other day, I think Parkland had, over a course of time, about 29 resolutions. And how many, I think we had two or three yesterday, and one will be discussed at the board level. But Parkland is stepping up, and they're voicing their opinions and lobbying efforts through the AMM to the provincial government. So great on them. The Immigration Partner Initiative that we've been working with the PAW and Flin Flon and Snow Lake, that's getting closer. I was just reading an email earlier from Jonathan, who is the Economic Development Officer in the PAW, and he's done so much work on this file. And I can't believe how much work he has done, and we're really grateful for that, because we will, all those areas will benefit from this initiative, which many of our immigrants need to have, and it's pretty much mandated by the federal government through the provincial government. So hopefully that application will get to them soon, and hopefully we can get that approved, and the board can start doing what it needs to do as far as the immigration partnership goes. So, and with that, I'll save the rest for when I have my privilege. Moving on to 8.1. Be it resolved that the attached advertisement in the Star Times offering heartfelt congratulations for the graduating class of 2025 be approved. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Councillor Whyte. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.2. Whereas the Town of Swan River employees report to the Chief Administrative Officer, and whereas the Chief Administrative Officer is the only Town of Swan River employee who reports to Mayor and Council, be it resolved that the authority for changes to the Town of Swan River organizational chart within the confines of approved budgeting be delegated to the Chief Administrative Officer. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.3, resolved that the draft audited Canada Community Building Fund annual expenditure report for the year ended December 31st, 2024 be approved and the independent auditor's report thereon be received. Moved by Deputy Mayor Moriaux, seconded by Councillor Bobick. All in favor? It's carried. 8.4. Be it resolved that Councillor Moriaux be appointed as Deputy Mayor effective January 7, 2025 through January 6, 2026. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion, Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
I will be abstaining from that
Erin,
vote.
fair enough.
But if someone else wants it,
We can have an election too.
hint, hint.
All in favor? It's carried. You will remain as the deputy mayor.
Too bad, buddy.
Congratulations.
But I'm here.
8.5. Be it resolved that the 200 block Centennial Drive North utility renewal be completed by the Town of Swan River Public Works employees. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Yeah, so I guess we went through this exercise to see if the private contractors could do the work for us at a reasonable rate, but looking at the tenders, we can use our own forces to complete the work as we have in the past, but at a significantly lower rate with that. So it kind of tells you how much contractors are, to put it bluntly, overcharging municipalities for the work, and when you can do all the labor and all that stuff in-house, but still paying the labor similar to contractors, and do it for a significantly lower rate. So it's it makes you wonder why our budgets sometimes seem to be ever increasing when we do contract work. So, but this was an opportunity to put out the work to contractors to bid on town work, and obviously the price difference between us doing it internally with our own forces versus a contractor, there's really no decision to make there. It's what we do. It's just, we just have to be very cognizant that that extra workload that we have on our own forces doesn't delay the extra work that goes on in the town.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.6. Be it resolved, the waste disposal grounds tender be awarded to LC Contracting Limited for the price of $332,000 for December the 1st, 2025 to November the 30th, 2026. $342,000 for December the 1st, 2026 to November the 30th, 2027. $352,000 for December the 1st, 2027 to November the 30th, 2028. $363,000 for December the 1st, 2028 to November, I'm guessing that's probably 30th, 2029, and $374,000 for December the 1st, 2029 to November the 30th, 2030, plus applicable taxes. Boy, 2030 seems so far away. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion, Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
As we've seen in the report, it's unfortunate that there was only one bidder for that. So that was the opportunity for other people to inquire on the project and put in a bid, but this is what it is, and we're at where we're at.
Councillor Bobick.
I don't know if I'd call it unfortunate, I think we're fortunate that we got one. Because if we didn't get one, what would we do? So, I don't know if I'd call it unfortunate.
Okay, all in favor? It's carried. 10.1. Be it resolved that the following accounts be received. General accounts checks number 32909 in the amount of $1,623.39 is listed on Schedule A. Payroll accounts checks number P5568 to number P5571, and direct deposit payments totaling $118,988.01 as listed on Schedule B, and direct deposit payments totaling $587.99 as listed on Schedule C. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 10.2. Be it resolved that the following accounts be approved for payment. General accounts checks number 32910 to number 32973 totaling $501,800.57 as listed on Schedule A. Direct deposits payments totaling $856.75 as listed on Schedule B, and direct deposit payments totaling $720 as listed on Schedule C. Moved by Councillor Bobick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Councillor Whyte.
It's just nice to see at least money's going to so many local people, local entities, and I always get concerned when I see checks being written to Amazon and other entities outside of our community. And where possible, I appreciate that we're spending that money locally, because it is given to us by the taxpayers.
Did you have a question?
Just a statement. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Yeah, check number 32917 to the Receiver General for $204,000. I think we're pretty sure. It pains me that we have to pay for it, and we've had the discussion before, but as the only municipality left at the table that wanted to challenge the retro RCMP, I think public need to know that that's a significant increase. Not saying that the members are not entitled to pay increase and stuff like that, but when we're not included at the table at the negotiating process, and then the costs are just downloaded onto us, $204,000 is a big chunk of change. So hopefully this time go around, as we're in negotiations with the Police Association and Contract Services of Canada that does engage with us, so that we don't have this fight or repeat in retroactive pay increases that we're not informed of before instead of after the fact. So.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 10.3. Whereas sections 326 of the Municipal Act provide that a municipality may impose supplementary taxes, and whereas subsections 306 and 306.1 provide that a municipality may cancel or reduce taxes upon receipt of assessment alterations from Manitoba Assessment Services. Be it resolved that the assessment alterations provided by Manitoba Assessment Services on June 3rd be made to the property and business tax rolls, with the resulting increases totaling $853.84, and the resulting decreases totaling $1,529.47. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Members' privilege. Councillor Bobick.
Thank you, Mayor Jacobson. Just before I came here tonight, I was watching the news on CTV, and it somehow rubs me the wrong way, is on Skywatch, there's no Swan River there. We always look at that for the weather, you can see the clouds coming across there, but there's no Swan River. Like, I mean, I think we're significant enough to be on that map. We're on the weather map, but we're not on the Skywatch when it goes through the clouds, so in your spare time, if you could phone CTV, it would be greatly appreciated, so. Pride for Reason.
Call CT.
Yeah, thank you.
Not your CDC, Fred. It's
Ride for a Reason. We did our ride, went very well. It's not often that you get motorcycle riders to take off in a rainstorm, you usually head home. But we had 40 registered, we had 30 riders. We were, our two stops were Grandview and Ethelbert, which we were, like, the circus coming to town. We greatly appreciated that we came there. It was really good turnouts and stuff. It was excellent. So we did very well this year because of the local businesses. We had great donations for our people. We weren't even asking, and the people were coming forward and dropping stuff off. So in total, I'm gonna take this will be a rough estimate of $12,000 will go back into the community this year, or to not so much community as family members. Last week, we took a short ride and supported 3 families already. It makes my heart kind of pump fast because these people are needy. There's some young children involved, so if you see 6 or 8 motorcycles with quiet pipes, they could be delivering a check, so don't phone the police on them, so let that to be known. So. Also went to the golf course for the fundraiser. That was excellent turnout there. That was really good. Half goes to the golf course and half is towards the arena, so it was great. It turned out. Cal Tire went there. Also, they had somebody told me 1,000 people there. It was fast, quick, good food. It was really good. Another good community event. Also, there's a lady, and I do believe she's an evacuee in town here, cleaning up everything you see all over town. So can we at least give her a Town of Swan River hat or something? Like thank her somehow?
I met her on Monday.
Okay, good.
And I had a chat with her.
Oh, perfect,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, no, I've just noticed her, and she's doing an excellent job, so yeah, perfect. No, other than that, that's about it. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Whyte.
Well, firstly, I want to echo Councillor Bobick's comment, the Ride for Reason concept where people work collaboratively to help others, which our valley does so very well. The Kinsman Lobster Fest, after doing the same time period, doing wonderful things to help the valley. Cal Tire. But if you went to all those things, they ate all that food, my goodness, what would be happening to us? And Swan Valley Outdoors, I think we just gave $5,000 or $10,000 back to the community, to the, I think it's going to the operation at Wellman Lake, the United Church Camps, to help them out. So all these entities in our community just give a lot of energy, a lot of time, and it's humbling. There's so many positive things, and we're pretty good as a council to dwell on the positive. We can't ignore the negative, but I think all of us can spend a little more time looking at all the wonderful things that are happening, and there certainly was a lot of them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Yeah, so 2 points. So the first one is if I could ask administration for next week's COW meeting to how we can have a discussion on economic development and that whole discussion that is occurring right now, and move that incentive plan off our simmering plate more to the hot plate in front, and we can maybe hopefully come to that. But it's also good timing for that, as we have G4, G8 next week, where hopefully that's on the agenda, is the whole RISE discussion, which is the economic arm of the valley, and see where that is going and if they want to play ball or not. So, and the last thing I want to just comment on is it's that with enforcement with the love mufflers and the drag racing, and as being identified as one of our priorities is traffic enforcement. Hopefully the members present got the drift that it's not rocket science to find it. You just have to sit here on a Tuesday night meeting, and I think you can list off 6 of them. Might not be able to get the plates, but we've got cameras on Main Street that should be able to find them for it. So I don't buy the story that it's as difficult to enforce that as what they're saying. When I can go to the Wayside Park and in 20 minutes have 7 of them identified, maybe not the complete license plates, but the vehicles, it's not that hard. You just, and people are getting frustrated, and it's not gonna go away, and I'm not gonna go away on this topic. Because it's disheartening. Like, at one point, we were a community that was identified as the great place to retire in Manitoba. Now it's like, you can't come here, you can't sit outside on your deck in the evening or in the afternoon and talk to a person on a lawn chair beside you because you got the screaming muffler and the drag racing that is occurring. So it's very unfortunate, but I think potentially there has to be a few teenagers, for lack of a better description, identified or made examples of, to send the message that that's not going to be tolerated in this community. With the drag racing, it's easier to get on it before something happens because it's a lot easier to hand out a traffic enforcement ticket than it is to deal with a traffic fatality investigation, which is going to occur one of these nights if they don't get a handle on it. And I don't want to be put in a position where I told you so, or we told you so. So just hopefully the public can bear with us, let us know, keep up the fight, but we need to get a hold on this because it's out of hand and we need to get a control on it. But it's being worked on. Thank you.
Okay, Director Harvey.
I just wanna say thanks to Jordan Rooks, our town foreman, the summer work, lots of different projects going around town, and he does an excellent job at staying on top of that with the digs, the power pole patching, line painting, and he makes my job a lot easier. And then soccer tournament, this is the last weekend for soccer, so on Saturday, Swan Valley Youth Soccer plays at the soccer field, so if anyone wants to come out and watch some exciting games and cheer on the kids of Swan, it'll be at the soccer fields on Saturday.
Perfect. How many kids were in the program this year?
I don't know overall. For the U11s, I think there's like 15 kids somewhere around there, but there's U11, U14, U18, and then there's all the rec ones, and there's a lot of kids there Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I don't know if there's Friday, but Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for sure. There's a bunch of kids all along the soccer fields.
Perfect. Thank you. Director Clouson.
For me, I just want to wish the graduating class a good graduation on Friday. My son is one of them. And it's kind of a cool feeling watching him walk across the same stage I did, only a few years ago, of course. And I think we have, I was trying to count them on my hand, 8 employees of ours that are graduating with this class this year. So I just, want to wish them the best, whatever they're choosing to do after school.
Nice. You'll have to have some Kleenex with you during the graduation ceremony.
Right, yeah, all 109 of them, I believe. There's 109 graduates
Nice.
this year.
Good. Awesome. Thank you. CFO Ganita.
Nothing to report.
Okay. CAO Tewnion.
I'm going to take Darren's lead and compliment staff as well. So I just want to thank and make sure council understands that the 2 directors and the CFO are doing tremendous job supporting me, supporting you. All the stuff that happens behind the scenes, I can't report to council on everything. I try to, but there's just from Darren being able to get crews to answer to public complaints like immediately. Erin, your work with the evacuees, the extra schedule and all the work that I'm tasking you to do as a result of the needs of the public, and you guys are stepping up to the plate. And of course, behind the scenes, CFO Ganita is working endlessly, day and night, keeping on top of everything so everything gets paid and that I don't get fired because we're not doing what we're supposed to by the rules. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you. For me, yeah, the grads, 2025, congrats to them. We actually have an employee in our store also, Roman Knight, that is graduating. So we're gonna miss these people as they move on. The last couple of years have been kind of hard because we've had some great young people working for us, but they're going out there in the real world to do what they need to do. The evacuees, wow, I spent some time at the Albert Chartrand Friendship Center on Monday when they provided lunch. And they have really stepped up in this community, that organization. As same with the Lions Club and many of the church groups as well, and helping them. Even some of the evacuees have been volunteering and doing a lot of work with them as well. And to several businesses, throughout the town and the valley that have offered so much help. And when I was talking to them, then obviously I met the person that has been doing some cleanup work around the Ag Society, and she's been doing whatever she can because she's kind of they're bored, they want to do something, and they really appreciate everything that everybody's done in town here, so they want to kind of give back, so kudos to her and the rest of them, and I talked a lot with them about the situation and how they got here and their experience, and for the most part the whole thing has not been bad. They actually said some really good things, how the province and Red Cross has handled things. There's some blips here and there, but overall it's great. The only thing that they wish that was provided, and that was some kind of a coordination center when they first got here. And so we were always told that EMO didn't need or require our help. And so I had spoke with the minister on yesterday, and I said, with this whole thing, and after we do a debriefing on it, and obviously, the north and those towns that were evacuated and nearby, they're gonna be part of that debriefing. But I told the minister that I said, I think you need to include places like Swan River and Dauphin and the Paw that have also taken in evacuees to hear their experiences and what would have been needed, in this time of crisis for those individuals. So he took that and as a note, and hopefully, he'll include us or want us to kind of give something in a report back to this situation. Where was I here? GICB grant. I did speak with the deputy or the assistant deputy yesterday about the grant. They're going to hook me up with some people from the federal government. They used to call it Western Diversification for the federal government. It's a whole different new name now, but they're going to get me in contact with some of them. So that was kind of on my radar yesterday with the minister and his team. And then of course the AMM, this is something new, but they've been giving clocks to municipalities that build new offices for a long time, and of course last year the AMM has changed their colors and logos and everything else. So because we have one of the newest offices, I think the newest offices of all of them in the province right now, the AMM has given us a new clock to hang and to display in our office. So I do thank them. And also, you mentioned about 15 years, and if you're alive or whatever it is, but 15 years goes by so fast. You think about that. The press was asking me today about questions about how things have changed since 2010, and I had to really think holy, it has changed a lot. And some of our responsibilities have changed a lot. When I first started, there's a lot of things that we did, we were responsible for, but then it just grew, and we got into, we're involved with doctor recruitment, medical recruitment. We're involved with so many things that we never, counselors in the past were never a part of. And then, she asked me questions about, being committed, and I said, obviously you need to be committed, otherwise, it's just going to be a boring, I think, job to have. But on top of the whole thing, for me, the reward has been working with everybody. It's a good family to be a part of, and certainly you'd miss it when you're gone. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for everything, like I said yesterday to council, that, you know, that's me or supports me to be on the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Board. Another family that I found to be incredible and great people that are working so hard to do great things for our province. I'm not going to get into more of that because I'll probably end up crying. So anyway, with Gilbert Plains, I looked at this yesterday when I got home. They gave us a survival bag. Everybody took one home with them, and I didn't look at it when I was there, but I got home and then I'm looking at this thing, and it has some lists of things, and they're all the things that are in the bag. And the first thing it says, you know, this is a 2025 government survival kit. The first thing it says chewing gum, to hold all the broken pieces together. The other item was a highlighter, so to help you look on the bright side of things. A pen to remind you to leave a good mark wherever you go. Smarties to help you make good decisions. Mint, you're worth a mint to your municipality. Some might disagree with that, I'm not sure. Toothpick to help you pick out all the good things in everything. Chapstick for when you feel, or when your day feels a little rough, and sunglasses to help you see through all the shady people. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't know if we have shady people, but anyway, I'm going to leave it here anyways, just in case it does happen. So anyway, with that, I'll conclude and thank you. And with that,
Need a plate?
what's that? Councillor Whyte?
I'm fine.
Did he not go yet? Well, this. Oh, sorry.
What?
I thought I got you already. Go ahead.
What we
Sorry.
got?
Your privilege?
I did it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry, no, sorry.
I did,
Saving part of me or
Bell Tire, the Sun Valley Outdoors, Right
Oh,
for
yeah,
Sight.
yeah, okay.
Forgetful surf.
But,
Some shady people.
but now that we're going back there, I just forgot when you mentioned Ride for a Reason, also with the evacuees, at the end of the supper at Ride for a Reason, we had some meals left over, so a couple of riders went to the campground and invited 8 people, evacuees down to have supper at the.
Nice. Good, well, it's great that you guys had that fundraiser. All right, so then if I got everybody, then we can conclude. Be it resolved that the regular meeting of council now be adjourned at 8:42 p.m. Moved by Councillor Bobick, second by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. All in favor?
Quick.
It's carried. We're adjourned.